Hello everybody, this is Bitcoin Macro, and on this video guys I'm gonna talk about all of the recent news, at least the ones from this week and last week. I've got a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of interesting stuff. Well, a lot has happened in the last maybe 7-8 days, so I would like to go on them step by step, just talk about their importance, all the FUD or the negative news. But first of all, I'm going to start with the positive news. I'm going to talk about some stuff regarding some regulators. Then I'm going to talk about some stuff regarding the FUD. Then I'm going to move on to some more specific stuff regarding certain coins. I'm going to also talk about Bitcoin and Taproot. I'm going to talk about the OpenEthereum stoppage, the issue that occurred a few days ago. And then finally, I'm just going to close with some positive notes on something very specific. So first of all, guys, Venmo is going to allow its customers to buy, sell and hold cryptocurrencies. There are about 70 million users that will be able to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum and potentially other stuff as well soon. And the same thing I assume is going to happen for the European holders of PayPal, because Venmo is a subsidiary of Coinbase. So I do believe that eventually it will get more and more stuff in Europe as well. Not that it matters too much, but I do believe that this just mainstreams the adoption of crypto. The easier it is to buy these things, the more they will go up. Now, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash are two coins that haven't really pumped much. Now, Ethereum is doing very well. Ethereum has some extra stuff that I'm going to mention soon, but these two could be doing very well because of the additional buyers that might come through PayPal and Venmo, even if that's in Europe or in the US. So that's the first one. Then Gary Gensler is confirmed as the new SEC chair, and I do believe because he's a pro-Bitcoin guy, they're going to have some pro-Bitcoin regulations and potentially an ETF. A lot of stuff have been said about him, and I do believe they're going to be positive stuff. And the reason why is this next thing. So Brian Brooks was the chair of the OCC, and now he's the CEO of Binance US. And not only that, after him, the other thing that happened was the ex-CFTC chairman has joined BlockFi in the board of directors. So I do believe that some of the regulators have quit the jobs, and they're still active though in some way, because they want to influence certain things, because they see the potential of crypto and because greed is taking over. So we see the same stuff in Miami and in other places. So the ones that fight crypto are the ones who will lose the most. So it's the incentives are aligned for people to be pro-crypto. Okay, some countries will go initially against them, but at the end of the day, most of these people will have to join us in one way or another. Now, the Galaxy Digital has filed as well for a Bitcoin ETF. I think right now there are maybe 8, 9 or even 10 applications, or their potential applications. So I do believe that especially with all these changes, something big is going to come for Bitcoin. Now, something big has happened for Ethereum as well, because Canada has approved 3 Ethereum ETFs in one day. There were already 3 Bitcoin ETFs, and now there are 3 Ethereum ETFs, which is definitely a big boost for the adoption of Ethereum and the price of Ethereum. And that's why I do believe part of the reason of the recent rally for Ethereum has been these Canadian ETFs. So some stuff that I want to talk about the FUD. Last week before the big drop, we had a lot of things going on at the same time. It was a very busy week, and there had been some negative news that I do believe have affected the price of Bitcoin negatively. And part of the reason was the Bitcoin mining hash rate drop, in China. So that was a bit of an issue because blocks did slow down substantially. Initially, it seemed like a 40% drop, whereas it's actually much, much less. But initially, that was a bit of a scare because people assumed it was way more than it actually was. And it is a problem, but eventually that's a positive, because the more China bans Bitcoin mining, like we saw in Inner Mongolia, the more these miners will have to leave China, which will alleviate the centralization pressures in China. So people assume that China banning Bitcoin or China having Bitcoin miners is a good thing, but the way China works and the way the whole thing is going, it's probably better for Bitcoin in the long term. So we had this. Then we also had the price spike because of Coinbase, the whole attention, people selling their IPO stock and then buying crypto. It just created a lot of demand and just chatter around Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So the next one was Dogecoin. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. Well, it was just an article about Dogecoin, which actually had a very, very big rally. And essentially the combination of the Coinbase IPO and the madness with Doge had created a lot of excitement, but that also meant excess speculation. There were too many longs. So there was just like a lot of speculation. There was also some selling. There was also a lot of demand. So that demand came a bit abruptly because of people selling Coinbase stock to buy stuff, but that demand ran out. So most of the people probably sold quickly and then they bought crypto. That's why we had all that chatter, like a lot of newbies heard of it. And like when a lot of new people come in, either because of Dogecoin or Coinbase, that eventually leads into a correction. Now, I don't know if the correction is over, but overall, I am relatively bullish in the medium term, although in the short term, I've made quite a few videos talking about these things. Now, the attention we got from Dogecoin is definitely a positive for crypto. So the more people hear about crypto, the better crypto will do because we really like the attention. Now, in the short term, that could mean there's going to be a further correction. But remember, last week we had so many different things going on. So for example, we had some coins moving from Bitfinex, which might have caused some issues. Maybe some people got scared that these coins are going to be sold. I think there were about 10,000 coins, which was a bit of an issue. Then we also had that India potential ban, which has been, we've heard about that stuff about 100 times. So I know it's old news, but maybe some people got scared that have never heard of it before. Now, at the same time, we also had Turkey banning payments, which I do believe that when that happened, there was a little dip on Bitcoin. Now, of course, like I've said before, I do believe that we were primed for a dump because we had an interesting fractal. It was a very similar situation with about a month ago. And it just played in a very, very similar way. But having Turkey to ban cryptocurrency payments was kind of big. Well, not because people will stop speculating on crypto, but maybe some people just got a bit scared from it, either from, other countries or some Turkish people. And you have to understand that cryptocurrencies are massive in Turkey. Okay, I've spoken with people from Turkey. I know that the scene there is quite massive because of the situation they have with lira, with the currency which has been devaluated massively. It has been collapsing for quite some time. And overall, they are quite sophisticated. I know they have like massive communities and you just see it everywhere. Like I see Turkish names and Turkish people all the time in the news and stuff like that. So again, just all these things combined, they created an environment. And I do believe that one of the final blows was the fake tweet about, the US going after certain institutions for money laundering, which, guys, I do believe eventually it's going to happen at some point. Okay, at some point there are going to be some settlements that they are going to create some panic because that's the way the ETF is going to be approved. I don't believe they will not go at all after Binance or, Huobi and all these institutions because there has been some money laundering. I don't believe there hasn't been all the KYC stuff because these exchanges have not gone with the US law. There have probably been US citizens trading on them. So it's not going to be as bad as the BitMEX situation, but I do believe it's going to be kind of bad because these companies, at least, they have gotten a bit into the US. They have been a bit friendlier towards regulators. They have taken quite a bit of a different stance. So yes, it's probably not going to be that bad, but just remember, there might be some action before the ETF is approved. Then I would like to talk a bit about Binance and what those burns mean. Guys, just remember that Binance doesn't burn coins. They don't buy BNB and then burn it. Okay, what they actually do is they burn the BNB that the insiders, the initial investors have had. So they burn their own BNB. They don't burn actual supply. So they don't buy up BNB to burn it. They just burn that BNB. But again, BNB is not an inflationary token. That's why it's pretty scarce. And we need to remember that. And there have been a lot of stuff going on for Binance. So I do like the fact that BNB is still higher in market cap than Coinbase, because again, BNB represents a lot more than just Coinbase stock. Now on Binance Chain, I was reading some chatter today about like Binance Chain having issues. And look, I do believe that there will be issues. These projects are not complete and they are very centralized. So just know that when you invest money on any of these projects, again, in a bull market, everything's going to be okay, probably. You're probably not going to have that many issues. And because these projects are centralized, most of the errors will be fixed. But remember, on each chain and on each project, on like yield farming or anything you do, please be careful and don't overinvest. Okay? No matter how great they might seem, those high yields represent risk. And also when you're dealing with new projects, there are going to be issues. And I'm going to talk about some issues on Ethereum pretty soon. So before that, just one last thing, some positive stuff on Bitcoin in terms of companies investing some of their holdings into Bitcoin and accepting payments in Bitcoin. And I do believe this is going to be a major trend through the time. Now, it's very hard for people to sell the Bitcoin, because I read that from, I think it was Juthika. She's probably the ex-CEO of LedgerX, which is like an options platform, a regulated options platform in the US. And she said something like, in 2014, we were struggling to get merchants to adopt Bitcoin so that people could pay with the Bitcoin. But now we're actually struggling with getting people to sell the Bitcoins, even if merchants are adopting it. And that's a pretty fair statement. Now, so that's why I do believe there are going to be more and more in different ways where people can spend the coins, and there will be more than one coin. So like you see here, it's going to be Bitcoin, Ether, Dogecoin, and so on. So people can pay. That's the good thing with all these things. Like cryptocurrencies, even the current form, even if they are centralized or unsafe, it's pretty easy for anyone to pay instantly. Now, holding stuff long term, assuming you'll be free to do whatever you want and have the immutability and censorship resistance that Bitcoin has, is quite a big task. But for everything else, you can, like quick payments and stuff like that, you can use other chains. And that's why I want to mention Tron, which is one that I've mentioned before, where there is about 24 billion on Tron right now. And that's why, guys, I've said, look, no matter how big a platform is, no matter how much people use it, this doesn't mean the token is going to explode. Now, I do believe there is a case to be made about the Tron ecosystem. There is a case also to be made about the Solana ecosystem. But right now, I even see lots of stuff pump. I don't see a clear narrative. In my opinion, there is no certain narrative that I do see going forward, but I like the DeFi stuff as well. Ethereum is doing well. Polkadot is not doing as great, or Cardano yet, but they might do in the future. They have taken quite a big pause recently, whereas BNB is doing very well. So potentially other blockchains might do well. Tron maybe. I've made a video about the Solana ecosystem, and I will be making more videos as to which coins I like and which not. Again, these are just my opinions. Of course, if there's going to be a big correction, just be aware that you have to be prepared to get stopped out. Okay, you have to put a stop. I analyze situations, I say stuff. Now I also have my trading view ideas where I have certain targets and stop losses. But remember, you need to be putting a stop loss. If I like something, it doesn't mean that you buy and you never get out. You know when to get out. You are the one that decides when to get out, not me. You have to set your position sizing accordingly and play by your rules. Now, I want to talk a bit about the Taproot activation. So finally, Taproot is going to be activated after a long talk about how it's going to be activated, and it's going to be a speedy trial. You can read about it here. So short duration attempt at miner activation. So it's going to give miners about 3 months to lock in Taproot, and you can read more on that stuff. I don't want to mention too many things, but I do like the approach. Then there's going to be other ways about, a potential activation. There are more than one, I think, not protocols, but clients out there with different ways that people can activate this. And in my opinion, I like the way this is moving. Now, do I believe that it took too long to get to this point? Potentially, yes. Because look, with Bitcoin, you have to be very careful. There are no second chances. There's no a centralized team that people can trust. There is a lot at stake. The network right now is valued at 1 trillion. So if the whole network is valued at 1 trillion, there is 1 trillion at stake. So we have to be very, very careful. And that's why I have not been a massive fan of altcoins for long-term investing, or actually telling people that an altcoin is the future. I think that's the wrong way, and I don't want to get too harsh, but people that are pretending these things are the future should be very careful with how they are shilling. The way I present stuff and the way I do things is that I explain to people all the risks with anything they invest. And when I do my classes, when I have my coaching sessions with people, and that's why I like doing one-on-one, I customize the strategy for each individual depending on what they want. Of course, they will have to go through a process where they explore stuff, but just think about it, like investing in something that's a startup, something that's not a finished product, something that has failures, something that is actually a move fast and break thing, like that. It's using that approach, move fast and break things. So for example, there was a stoppage and there was an issue with the Berlin hard fork. It was a big update, and there's going to be more stuff coming for Ethereum. So I do understand that there is a lot of good stuff going on, but just remember that sometimes not the fastest one wins the race. As maybe it is the slow and steady, like Bitcoin. Now, there are issues with Bitcoin. I'm not saying it's perfect. Most of the issues come from the fact that people are moving on in all sorts of directions, which is kind of sad. But I do believe altcoins overall are a big benefit to Bitcoin because they are a testing ground. They are like a little sandbox where people can leave Bitcoin alone to build things, and they can just go and wreck themselves elsewhere. Because eventually, guys, remember this. We will see massive issues with DeFi. We will see massive issues with Ethereum, because right now, the more these things are growing, the more these things are connected, the more these things are young. And then, some big changes happen, maybe in the protocol. Maybe there is a bug in one of them. Maybe there is a hack. Whatever happens, we could be into really, really big trouble. So you just need to remember that after some point where things grow too big, it becomes hard to upgrade. It becomes hard to change stuff. It becomes political. And we've seen that with Bitcoin, and we will see that with Ethereum and many other things. Either things will collapse because they're too centralized, and then some insider will start doing whatever they want, or there might be some issues with the move fast and break things approach, because the more you move fast, the more you will break things. And then the more you will have to slow down, and potentially some competitors will come and eat your lunch. So you might have to move faster. And again, remember, just like I said earlier with Tron, there was about Tron surpassed the USDT on Ethereum. That's pretty big, guys. Okay, that's a really big deal. Which just shows how easily things can change and how liquidity can go from one chain to another. Because remember, most of these projects are not loyal. Like some of them might be, some of them might align philosophically, etc. But at the end of the day, they have to have something that works and that people want to use. And some of them don't even care about decentralization or freedom or censorship resistance or immutability. So some other things, because I saw Injective protocol doing fairly well, and I think it has been lagging severely. The Injective protocol got an investment by Marc Cuban and other investors. You can read it on the blog right here. And since yesterday has been pumping, maybe it continues, because I think it was primed for a move. And it's one of those things like potentially like Synthetics and Mirror that might do well. Synthetics hasn't been doing well at all, and potentially might not do well in the future as well. I've mentioned quite a lot of stuff that I like. I've mentioned before, like Maker, Uniswap, what else did I say? Wi-Fi as well. Compound are some of the ones I like. Balancer. And also I do like BAT and Mana. Some of the stuff that are on Coinbase, I would just mention some of the larger coins so that I don't get you into much smaller stuff. And again, we've had things, like I said before, Harmony is going to create cross-chain assets on Injective, on Harmony. They're going to try and create innovative cross-chain assets. So that's what I'm saying. There will be so many chains. So why would Ethereum be the largest one or the best one, and so on? Lots of competition and lots of stuff going on with many of these protocols. Now, I've got to say that Dfinity is coming in about 15 days. And the thing that I want to say is that down below I have a referral link for MXC, and I have other referral links. I would urge you guys to sign up because there are a lot of good stuff in those exchanges, lots of gems that I would recommend you check out. I will add some referral links for KuCoin and FTX as well, so that you can get a discount too. On MXC you don't get a discount, but they do have IOUs for Dfinity. And I would just say this, guys, even if it's coming, just be aware that usually these IOUs, they result in a big dump after the protocol is launched. Okay, so just be careful. So into the launch, maybe things pump and things go very, very well, but it's also already up significantly and into the launch, because it's illiquid and it's not of massive supply. It's determined by the exchange and how much they bought in the pre-sale and all that stuff. I would just say be very, very careful. Okay, just don't buy stuff that you don't understand, and don't buy stuff that hasn't been launched, except if you know what you're doing and you use proper risk management. Finally, I want to talk a bit about the Thorchain launch. All I would say, guys, is that with Thorchain, it's just like a bit of a weird thing, because I don't really believe it's that decentralized or that safe. Now, this is a pretty big update, and Thorchain has done very, very well, but fees using this method is pretty high. Now, if you want to really do decentralized swaps like this, cross-chain, then this is potentially the best solution there is right now. But just know that it's something fairly new, so you should be careful that this is something that, it's a young protocol, quote unquote. It's just a decentralized exchange, because now that the mainnet is released, now we will see how it's going to get tested because of the way the keys are being assigned, because they like decentralized multi-signature setups are fairly hard and they are not that safe. Okay, so just be aware of that. And Thorchain has pumped quite a bit already. It has had a pretty big year. So if we see a correction after the launch, because we have a buy the room or sell the news event, that's okay. So if it dumps a bit, just be aware that maybe it's a buy the dip opportunity, but after something so big, I wouldn't be running to buy that thing. And finally, that good bit of news that I mentioned at the beginning is that PBOC softens the tone toward Bitcoin and so on. Just be aware that this might change, but the thing is that it's a good thing to see regulators take a positive stance towards Bitcoin. Of course, they will try to over-regulate it. They might allow it to exist, but they will try to over-regulate it. I do believe that at the end of the day, they will lose, that we will prevail, freedom will prevail. But that I just wanted to mention this so that you are aware that there are regulators that are going to take a positive stance towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. There were a lot of stuff that I covered. I hope they all make sense. Please leave your comments down below, like any comment, positive or negative, something that I am missing. Maybe I've got something wrong on any coin. I had some nice feedback on, because I mentioned something about AMP. So a lot of people were mentioning that, AMP is going to get listed on Coinbase, and I liked it because, maybe I was wrong. I like the fact that there was a lot of interest on that specific cryptocurrency. Maybe I got something wrong, let's say on Radium, because I initially said I was more a fan of Findora and Maps rather than Oxygen and Radium on the Solana ecosystem, and they've done very well. So I got a nice message from somebody who explained to me why he liked Radium. So just leave your comments, just come message me If you want any coaching sessions, if you want any help with anything, just shoot me a message and we will talk about it. Okay? So again, guys, please like the video, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. Come visit my Twitter, my Telegram channel, come visit the decentralized Telegram channel, and also finally come visit my TradingView page. That's where you will find most of the setups. On these videos I might be more generic on what I say. Maybe I say I like stuff, I don't like stuff, but that's where I actually show the actual setups on the coins that I like. They are there, they are easy to find. You can scroll through all of my ideas, so there's no me making random stuff up. So you can also see that there is proof on everything that I've talked about before. So once again, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.